Tell Me What Happened is a podcast series that shares dramatic stories of people helping people, and every one of them is true. These uplifting stories will fill you with hope. Listen today to Tell Me What Happened.
Richard Nixon.
Well, I'm not a crook.
Ronald Reagan.
Tear down this wall.
George W. Bush.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you.
And Donald Trump.
And a friend of mine for a long time, he only likes politics. If you ask him about how are the Yankees doing, he has no interest. If you ask him almost anything, he likes politics, and he's a professional at the highest level. Roger Stone.
All of these presidents relied on one man to secure their seat in the Oval Office. That man is Roger Stone. This is The Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
Welcome back, folks, for our final segment of The Roger Stone Show on this very special 4th of July weekend. Joining me now is George Papadopoulos. George Papadopoulos was a foreign policy advisor to President Donald Trump's 2016 campaign, but more precisely, he is a man who, like me, was targeted by special counsel Robert Mueller, and I think, like me, has never really had the opportunity to tell the full story of how we was victimized. I could actually probably market a T-shirt that said George Papadopoulos did nothing wrong, and he joins us now from Los Angeles. George, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Roger, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
So let's walk through this because it is not written. You have a great book, but unfortunately, you know how that is. The Washington Post won't be reviewing it anytime soon, nor will the New York Times review of books. But walk my audience through how you were victimized in the 2016 campaign.
Yeah, it's a very dark chapter in American history, and I definitely like that idea of this shirt. The Roger Stone did nothing wrong, Papadopoulos did nothing wrong, because I think in many ways we definitely have a parallel story when it came to really supporting what at that time was an incipient populist, nationalist candidate, and an entire movement that was just ascending and reverberating throughout the entire United States and arguably around the world after Brexit. So I had worked before that movement started with a lot of these so-called establishment types at the Hudson Institute in Washington, D.C. A lot of these W. Bush people, Reagan officials, people like Douglas Feith, Scooter Libby, these type of people. And the summer of 2015 comes around, and I realized that after disastrous years of the W administration, disastrous years of the Obama administration, that America needed change. And that change, of course, was Donald Trump. As soon as Donald Trump went down those escalators, I think around 12 hours later, I messaged Corey Lewandowski, who many people, of course, didn't know at the time. No one, of course, knew who I was at the time. It was you and a couple others who were notable on the campaign. And I said, I think you have a winner here. I want to join this campaign. Moving forward, the campaign didn't expand for a while. I joined Ben Carson's campaign as a foreign policy advisor, and right when I joined Trump's campaign, actually I should say before even the Washington Post knew that I joined Trump's campaign in March of 2016, there was an ongoing operation that later was revealed by the CIA that was there to quote-unquote bump officials like myself, you, 25 others, to essentially create the fix that would later go on to become Crossfire Hurricane, Mueller, Impeachment 1.0, 2.0, and then it goes on until Trump's recent conviction.
So tell us about this mysterious professor, Professor Mifsud. Who is this guy and where is he and what role did he play here?
So when I first started on the Trump campaign, I was actually based in London, and this is why things get really murky here, because what the report revealed in March of this past year, so just recently, about 4 months ago or so, was that there was an operation that was launched essentially in London that was at the behest of not only the CIA, but the Five Eyes intelligence sharing countries, which includes the United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand, the United States, and Australia. So what these countries do essentially, Roger, and for all your listeners, is they share intelligence. If the United States has a citizen who's living in London, let's say, or abroad, they can call the British intelligence services and say, hey, look, this American, in theory, has protections under the Constitution that we can't penetrate, so why don't you do our dirty work for you? So the point I'm making is, when I started on the campaign, I was introduced in Rome to this guy, Mifsud. Now, Mifsud, for many of your viewers who remember, is at the heart of not only the Mueller investigation, Crossfire Hurricane, the Horowitz investigation, but also the Durham investigation. He was introduced to me by the Italian foreign minister, Vincenzo Scotti. So we're talking very high-level people here facilitating meetings to a man who later became the center of an espionage scandal against Donald Trump and Donald Trump's campaign. That included foreign intelligence groups. So he tells me unsolicited one day over brunch, hey, did you know that the Russians are doing something with Hillary? And I said nothing about it. You know, there was a lot of rumors in the media for months at that time that Hillary's email server was, sabotaged, that she had her own private server. So it really was part of this entire narrative that they used people like him. They used people that bumped into you, that you've talked about, others like Michael Flynn that they were running into to create this fake pretext to launch these fake investigations that went absolutely nowhere except completely destroying the credibility of the United States government and the FBI.
Now, interestingly enough, John Solomon at Just the News reported that the prosecutor in your case, Aaron Zelinsky, just happened to also be the prosecutor in my case, actually altered the FBI 302, that when you were asked by the FBI if you would help locate the elusive Professor Mifsud, you said yes, of course, but they altered your 302 to say no, that you would not. This is, to me, egregious prosecutorial misconduct. Have you, although it may go nowhere, of course, have you considered filing a formal complaint over that?
Well, absolutely, Roger. And what I've been very disappointed in Congress, because I felt, first and foremost, and I've said this since the beginning, if they held them accountable for what they did to the 2016 campaign, which you were a victim of yourself and Donald Trump was a victim of, and more importantly, over 75 million patriots who voted for President Trump were the ultimate victims, who saw their vote basically potentially usurped and replaced by the administrative state. If those people that concocted Crossfire Hurricane, Comey's, the McCabe's, Mueller, people like Mifsud and all these foreign governments that targeted the campaign and basically, were involved in the worst political dirty trick in modern American history, I don't think Donald Trump would have, first of all, been raided. He would not have been indicted, and certainly we would have never seen him in a kangaroo court in New York and all these various bizarre cases that are going on around him. And when it comes to the egregious misconduct of the Mueller prosecutors, it goes to exactly what I said. They got away with doing it to me, to you, to others, so they continued this lawfare with Donald Trump. So, of course, Congress, I felt, especially during the Durham testimony, had an opportunity to basically hammer it home, take all these people down, subpoena witnesses that Durham clearly felt he couldn't publicly expose, but they decided not to do it. It seems like they want to sweep this underneath the rug of history. And based on that, it's making my case very difficult to litigate, because a lot of the information, including from this mysterious Joseph Mifsud, has never been declassified. John Durham basically stood there stone-faced and said, I can't talk about this guy. So it's making life very difficult, not only for my case, myself, but, of course, transparency and accountability for the United States and its people.
I know exactly how you feel. My case is still sealed and I'm not allowed to even speak about it except for in extraordinarily general terms. I honestly think this is why those who oppose President Trump are prepared to do whatever is necessary to stop him, because some of them, not all of them obviously, but some of them realize that they are guilty of treason and they are prosecutable. No, this is not about revenge. It's about equal protection under the law. I was charged with lying to Congress in my voluntary testimony before the House Intelligence Committee. But in order to violate the False Statements Act, which is what they charged me with, your statement has to be willful, but more importantly, it has to be material. I never had any motive whatsoever to lie. I told the truth about two things. One, that I simply set up a Google News alert on my computer and very carefully followed what Julian Assange was saying. Assange himself said that he had information on the Democrats and Hillary that he would release. And I relied on one source, New York radio host Randy Credico, who told me in a text message that this information would come down in October, that it would be political dynamite. And when I asked him how he knew that, he said that he knew a woman lawyer who worked for WikiLeaks, and I shouldn't ask any more questions about it. The Mueller prosecutors had that text in writing, proves that everything I said was true. But nonetheless, I learned the hard way that in the District of Columbia, no non-Democrat, no Trump supporter certainly, no Republican, no free thinker, no one whose political beliefs are adverse to the ruling party can expect a fair trial. To this day, I look at the parallels between what they did to Trump and what they did to me. In order for the financial transactions involved in the New York so-called hush money matter, those transactions would have to be material to, related to, or designed to cover up some underlying criminal activity. Yet, District Attorney Alvin Bragg is unable to identify what that would be. Otherwise, those charges would be a misdemeanor, and it would be a business records case in which you usually pay a small fine. It only becomes a criminal case if you can demonstrate that it was covering some underlying federal crime. Just as Judge Amy Berman Jackson would not allow me to bring Bill Binney, the former CIA counterintelligence officer and IT expert, as an expert witness in which I could have proved between his testimony and forensic evidence that the Democratic National Committee was never hacked by the Russians or anyone else, and whatever information Julian Assange had to have been the source of a leak rather than a hack. Now that Assange is free, even though he has pled to get his current freedom, I'm hopeful, actually, that he will speak out. By the way, he said on many occasions that while he enjoyed the way that I was trolling the Democrats on my Twitter profile before, of course, it was suspended, that I had received nothing from him. I did not work from WikiLeaks. The one contact I have with them is innocuous, but that didn't stop the New York Times from putting it in a headline. It is one of the great travesties of our time. Because I was under a gag order, much like Donald Trump in New York, I've never had a chance to tell my side of the story. But I will. Of course, it'll be ancient history by that time. I am laboring at a book that may lay this all out before I ride on ahead, as they say. But I'm more interested in the fight going on today. I really think that what we've seen just over the last 10 days in the debate, in this correct Supreme Court decision that is just making Democrats go out of their minds. I saw Zoe Lofgren, the congresswoman from Northern California, couldn't tell whether she was drunk or not, but she actually suggested that Biden should order the military to take out, I assume that means kill, the 3 conservative members of the U.S. Supreme Court who ruled adverse to what she wanted. Now, if I did that, the FBI would raid my home yet again. But she does this with impunity. It is an extraordinary double standard. Do you feel that way, George?
Yeah, Roger. I mean, it was really as astonishing as it was predictable to watch the Democrats' heads explode with this Supreme Court immunity ruling. And it was no surprise, like I mentioned, to see them actually resort to basically dog whistles of violence. We've seen it started, of course, with Obama, who prevented the smooth transition of power. They always say that Trump is all about trying to maintain power, control power, and to eviscerate the institutions, the rule of law, and normalcy in America, while the Democrats, who have weaponized the U.S. Legal system against their political opponents, have done just that. And the moment that they can't, usurp and replace the powers to be, which is currently a conservative majority on the Supreme Court, now they want to expand the court. Now they want to diminish the legitimacy of certain justices on that court, including Thomas. Try to put these people under the microscope, send protesters at their homes. If Alito puts up a flag that they don't like, go send protesters to threaten him. If Clarence Thomas goes on a vacation with his wife, go investigate him. This is what the Democrats have resorted to. They are the sore losers. They are the ones that have one interest and only one interest in mind, and that is consolidating power against the will of the American people. And certainly I believe that the entire premise of this lawfare operation against Trump was because they understood that it was going to eventually reach the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court was going to rule against these unconstitutional efforts by the Democrats. But the effort was not even simply about Trump as much as it was about the credibility of the Supreme Court. And that's exactly why the Supreme Court, as much as Donald Trump, has become squarely in the crosshairs of their efforts to delegitimize these institutions and individuals.
Folks, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to George Papadopoulos, who was a foreign policy advisor to President Trump's 2016 campaign. He, like me, got jammed up in the Russian collusion hoax. We have one other thing in common. Neither one of us did anything wrong. We're going to be right back with a bit more of George Papadopoulos. In the meantime, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track. And ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at StitchFix.com.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines.
Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
It's the Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
Welcome back, folks. This is the Roger Stone Show and our very special July 4th weekend show. I'm pleased to have my good friend George Papadopoulos with us. George was a foreign policy advisor to President Donald Trump's 2016 campaign. He was also outrageously targeted in the Mueller witch hunt. He's written a terrific book, Deep State Target, which you can get any place where books are sold. You can get it Barnes & Noble or Amazon. It is a great read because if it happened to him, my friends, it can happen to you. Again, Deep State Target. Urge you to pick that up from my friend George Papadopoulos. George, we were together last week, and I know that you are by nature an optimist, and I know you travel very frequently, and I know you believe that President Donald Trump is about to make perhaps the greatest comeback in American political history. Do you still feel that way?
I feel that way more than ever before, Roger. There's a reason I never got off the so-called Trump train, and I've been on it since the summer of 2015, because I've always understood one thing, most importantly. It's not simply about one man. It's about the people. It's about a movement, and it's about their will, and it's about addressing the various woes that face America today and since, I would say, the beginning of the last decade, and that includes security considerations, political considerations, and most importantly, economic. But then you also have the societal changes that have emerged that are really transforming America into something unrecognizable. You have parents basically losing their rights to the state. You have various agendas, some of them which are foreign, imported into the United States, which I always understood as somebody who loves this country, born and raised in this country, albeit in a very liberal city like Chicago initially, and now I live in Los Angeles. I know that America is a center-right country at its core, and I wasn't surprised to see Donald Trump basically ascend once again and come back, basically be part of I would say, the greatest political comeback in American history, when so many within the Republican Party and even some within his own team thought that he was, basically gone after the January 6th so-called events that happened on that day. And basically just watching him take out various establishment types from Nikki Haley to DeSantis, it reminded me a lot of the 2016 campaign, Roger, that you remember very well, too. You had the establishment with unlimited money, super PAC money going in, a lot of these elite donors, Hollywood donors, the singers of the world coming in, basically trying to prop up these candidates like DeSantis, who just never resonated with the American people. They didn't have the charisma. They didn't have the background. They didn't have the decades of public service the way that Donald Trump did, and the same common themes of how to make America great again. So that's why I've remained loyal. That's why I've remained astute in my analysis of believing that Donald Trump would be reelected, and the polls and the money certainly reflect that analysis. So I definitely think he's going to win.
A question I always ask you when I see you. George, I think you need to run for Congress. I think you would be great in Congress. You and I are working together to try to help a congressional candidate in South Florida, Johnny Fratto, who's a great guy, challenging Rhino Mario Diaz-Balart, a career politician. But George, would you not this cycle, but if we have elections in 2 years, if we still have a country in 2 years, would you think about running for Congress?
You know, Roger, that's always been a big dream of mine, is to really run and win in Congress. So certainly these years my priority has been helping do my part, whatever little part that is, to get Donald Trump back in office, because I think leadership at the top is going to really set the stage. And then Donald Trump, of course, needs allies. You're right. We're supporting good guys down in South Florida, Johnny Fratto in the 26th district, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if Donald Trump's in office. If he doesn't have the right allies in Congress, he's going to run into the same roadblocks he did during his first term, where he couldn't enact many of his proposals that he wanted, especially at the domestic level. So certainly, if the timing is right, the district is right, and I have endorsements like yours, that's something I would certainly look into and look at it very, very closely.
One of the best things that came out of all of this, George, is that you have a beautiful Italian wife, Simona, who is just a wonderful person. They put her through hell as well. Tell us how she's doing.
Simona is great, and she's been there since the beginning with me. She's an incredible beauty, but more importantly, her heart. She has a heart of gold, and she's the smartest girl I've ever met in my entire life. She's an attorney. She's involved in different endeavors now, and she loves this country. She's a legal immigrant. We've spent years going through the process with her. I think she's gone through the fire in this situation that we've been talking about, especially regarding the lawfare that's targeted her as well. She stood by me. She loves America. She's going to be a citizen very soon, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her do some sort of public service herself once she gets that official citizenship, because I know she's certainly interested too. So you might see the Papadopoulos making a little joint effort in that respect.
I think one of the things people don't recognize in any of these situations is the horrific stress on the wives, on General Flynn's wife, on Paul Manafort's wife, Kathy, on your wife, on certainly on my own wife, who I'm happy to say now 3 years cancer-free, having been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer almost immediately after my presidential pardon. All right, I'm afraid we are out of time. I want to thank my good friend George Papadopoulos for joining us today on this special July 4th weekend edition of The Roger Stone Show. And folks, please don't go anywhere, because my good friend Joe Piscopo, a guy who has a heck of a set of pipes himself, will be right along in a minute with Sundays with Sinatra.